lazy is one of the most unattractive qualities.
The only different thing is our color.
I've been married for this amount of time, and this is not what I expected. This is not how it's supposed to be. Women are not just trying to hook up.
My relationship compatibility test was very high.
You want the hips in a little bit with you want the waist in with you want some curves,
Yeah.
right? You're going in for a Whopper and you end up with a 7-course meal, right?
That's exactly what happened. Dr. Lorenzo, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Harsh. Thank you for having me.
I am really glad that you have become the part of my podcast, because I've been trying to get you on this podcast for months now. And finally, like when your book came out, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot, because when you mentioned that you have that mate value test and relationship compatibility test, like I have to read this book.
Well, thank you. Did you take both tests?
I did take both tests, and my score for the mate value test was like 69 or 70, which is like the borderline for high mate value.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason I have some work to do in that, but my relationship compatibility test was very high.
Okay,
like
very
it was like
good.
in the 80s, 90s. So it made me feel better.
Okay, very well. But also, I mean, you can work on both of them too. You just have to know what factors there are, right? Because a lot of these things you can improve over time.
Yeah. So what made you? How did you create those tests?
Yeah. So really, even though I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist, I end up working with a lot of couples. And part of my love for couples, though, too, has been working in divorce court for so many years as an expert and doing like custody evaluations. And what would happen would be I would be doing like an autopsy on people's relationships, and I would be reviewing all of like their, I would begin by reviewing how the relationship began, and these people were once deeply in love. And then all of a sudden, 15 years later, they're fighting over custody, and they want to do harm to each other. So I always thought, I started thinking, man, I should be writing a book about what's the difference between people that can make it and people that can't, and there's got to be some real research behind this. So I just got deep into the literature about what makes somebody be ready for a relationship and have value to be in a relationship, to be with somebody else, and then what makes two people make it. And it really came to making sure that people were compatible with each other. So, and I guess the problem with love today is it's most people want to rely on a feeling, and but even though that feeling comes from somewhere, but you have to make sure that it's vetted in the important factors and not just something that's passing.
I feel like our generation, like young generation, is more focused on emotions of every day more than anything.
And I agree, right? And I think it's positive, but it's negative, because a message that I think that I see when working with young people too, or some of the messages, where and it's even part of the culture where you guys culturally as an age group say, it's a feeling, right? You should feel your feelings as if they're true. And from a psychologist perspective, most feelings are not based on fact. They're based on, small things you pick up on the environment, and they're passing, or they're remnants of being in an ancestral environment, not ancestral, but ancestral environment. So you really have to use other parts of your brain to, correct the experience. And I think there's a disservice when we just feel all of our feelings.
Yeah, just to like give a little example here. I'm sure you know about the neuroscience circuitry of anxiety and fear. Have your amygdala lights up, and there are two general pathways that it takes when there's a stimuli from the world that's scary.
Yes.
And I learned about this in one of my courses, where like when you see when you're young and when you see a person of color that's different from you, generally your amygdala may light up because you're afraid of that person because that person is different.
Sure.
Um, and but that's not true in today's world. It would have been true like 10,000 years ago
Yeah.
when we were living in tribes in our own huts and we saw a different person.
Yeah. So, and it would light up when it was just anybody from your that wasn't in your tribe, in your in group. It wasn't like about even a different color, right? It was just somebody that wasn't part of your tribe.
Yes.
So,
So moving on to more of the relationship issues that young people face. Number one issue from your book that I have really like, it just hit me. It was really early on in the book, and you said something along the lines with, "Date the person who is the person now, and not some potential." And I was like, "Oh, this hit me so hard because should people even date in high school, and should people even date in college? Because we, me even right now, me and my girlfriend, right, when we're dating, I am just a potential. Like I'm not in the stage of life where I want to be. Ultimately, I want to be well off. I want to be a PA. I
mhm.
want to do podcasting. I want to be successful in content creation. Maybe I want to have a business. I want to do a bunch of these things, but I'm not there. I'm not even like 20% there yet. So,
Sure.
can you elaborate on that? Should we even date early years of our life?
Yeah, so I think it's certainly important to be dating early on. I mean, that's like the trial. This is like the trial run, the trial ground. This is how you learn how to have relationships, and you learn how to be committed to someone, and to also measure people's compatibility. You need to have lots of different experiences. But I'm not saying that, a lot of people do end up with somebody that they were dating in their 20s. Um, and those relationships end up being long term. But the person that you want to be with in your 30s is going to be different from the person you want to be with in your 20s. So,
Mhm.
certainly it's, even in your 20s, you want to make sure that somebody is compatible with you, because people grow together too. I mean, as long as you're both growing together in your 20s, that you are still in the same place in your 30s, those things work. But, the thing is, it's so hard to determine what relationships work and which ones are going to fail too, because there's so many different life circumstances. So, but you at least want to make sure that certain qualities are present, even early on. Like for instance, like one of the critical factors in a relationship or for somebody's mate value
Mhm.
is somebody that is they're industrious, and both men and women are attracted to that. Like, you got to have somebody that hustles, and this will end up being they will continue to be a hustler in the relationship, whether they're staying at home and managing kids, or whether they're out securing resources and trying to make a living. I mean, Harsh, you are a hustler, right? I mean, you're a hustler. You get a lot of points for that, for that part of your mate value, right? You
Yeah,
and you got to be with somebody that's also a hustler.
yeah, that's true. Can you elaborate on being industrious? Like, I never encountered that word before. And is that just generally being like just hardworking, ambitious?
Yes, so it can mean a lot of different things. I mean, ambition is certainly something that so ambition is certainly something that people are attracted to. So, but if we look at the difference between men and women, women are usually more attracted to ambition than men are. However, men and women are both attracted to industriousness. So, ambition is a subset of industriousness. And industrious really means that you will work hard, that you're conscientious, that you follow through with things, and that you're not lazy. I mean,
Hmm.
being lazy is one of the most unattractive qualities. Yet,
Yeah.
yet I see over and over again very industrious people get into relationships with lazy people. And
Mhm.
I mean, it never works. Because could you imagine? I mean, I even see, you know, so later in life, I mean, I see men that are very industrious or ambitious, and then they're, um, the wife is at home, um, and is not taking care of anything, right? And he's got to come home and make
Mhm.
dinners and put the kids to bed, bathe the kids, and all these things. So those things never work out. But and then it also happens where you got two working people, and the woman is like a high earner. She's really escalating in her career, and the guy is just like lazy. He doesn't want to work. He wants to watch sports and play video games, and
Mhm.
those relationships don't work either. But I see the best ones when both people are hustling. I mean, they're both managing the kids and they're both working all the time. They're busy people. Those things are great because usually those same people are really busy about their relationship too. They're working on the
Yeah.
relationship just like they work on anything.
Awesome points.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Very.
You got me started.
Yeah. Awesome. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay. Okay.
All right. We are all warmed up. What's the role of this is something that I have to be better at, but I have been better at for the last year. But in the book, in your, I think this is the relationship compatibility section, and it's relationship roles and expectations. And
Mm,
this one also hit me hard. And you say here, roles and expectations include where will you live, who will you be, or who will be the primary breadwinner, who will be the primary caretaker for children and elderly parents. Will you share these two responsibilities equally? Who will pay the bills? How will you vacation? How much money will you save a year? This one, too.
yes. Okay, so I mean, let's think about this. I mean, so the expectations and the values about life and living and roles, those things all have to be in agreement. It doesn't necessarily matter what they are, but you both have to have similar expectations. Because what happens is, in terms of couples that come to see me or an individual that comes to see me after 10 or 20 years of marriage or even 3 years of marriage, they will say to me, I've been married for this amount of time and this is not what I expected. This is not how it's supposed to be. So,
Mhm.
meaning their relationship, right? Like this person's
Yeah.
not working or they're not helping me with the kids or they won't let me join in the parenting. So, or often what happens is somebody expects the other person to also work. I mean, and I think within your generation, there's an expectation that both people will be working, right? But then all
Mhm.
of a sudden something happens to when a child is born. Often, um, women will want to stay home, right, or spend or let the man continue on in his career path. But not always. Sometimes the guy stays home. If the wife has a more promising career.
Mhm. For me, I would never stay home. I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't even take care of a dog. Like, I mean, I can. Like, I will put effort, but like, I don't know if it's something genetic about men.
Uh-huh.
Like, they prefer doing other things than caretaking.
Yeah, I would say for the majority, yes. And this is where we get into trouble, right? When we talk about when we talk about the research and what people forget, you're becoming you're becoming a scientist in your studies, and you know
Mhm.
that when we look at the science, we're comparing averages, right?
Yeah.
Like on average. So, and it's crazy the backlash you get when you're talking about the science, but it's true that we're looking at averages, but sometimes there are I mean, in those averages, there's like a bell, usually a bell-shaped curve, and then there's an overlapping distribution. So that means like some men prefer what most women prefer. So, or some women prefer what most men prefer. But again, on average, yes, men are more suited for. I mean, look at them physically. They are hunters, where women are more suited for gathering and being nurturing and childcare. I was just saying to my wife the other day, like, I'm so glad that I get to go to work. I would have been a terrible parent if you were the breadwinner. I mean, I don't know how she but she hustles, right? She's like constantly coordinating appointments. She helps me with our business though too, but she's on the phone with the kids. I have 4 kids, two are in college.
Wow.
I mean, she's constantly managing she's like managing our life like I manage the office. I mean, it's unbelievable. But then also she's very kind and sweet and loving, and guiding. And I'm not the same way. I'm like the heavy when it comes to, this is how it's going to be, and there's not negotiating. Definitely more directive in a harsher way. So,
Beautiful.
but yeah, I mean, there are differences in general for men and women, but
Yeah.
not always. Again, there's overlapping distribution.
Mhm. There's a lot of differences between men and women in what they want to in relationships.
Yeah,
Um, in the book, you mention men objectify beauty, women objectify money.
yeah, or they, I mean, they
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing, because women will always say, he's objectifying physical beauty and he's so shallow. But, you know, women, in terms of who they want to be with, I mean, whether it's, and we could say whether it's, nature versus nurture, but overall, they are trying to pursue someone that has resources. So, you know, men are objectified for their resources or for their lack of resources.
Hmm.
I mean, how do women, men and women and you can tell like how men and women put each other down too, based on what they value. Because women even put each other down for, oh my God, could you imagine see what she was wearing, right? Or like her makeup. They ridicule their physical appearances, right? Versus like, what do you ridicule a man about? Like their job, right? Or they don't make enough money, or, they have an issue with the resources. So even people that say those things are not important still like ridicule the other for that.
I learned about the differences in men's and women's sexual fantasies. Men's have fantasies about having sex with beautiful girls.
Uh huh.
Women I think that's what women objectify men who are not beautiful in a way, but they objectify certain characters or like, let's say, high performing doctors or lawyer, like big, like entrepreneurs, millionaires.
Sure. Someone that has resources and someone that
Mm-hmm.
will provide for them and make them feel safe. Not always, though. Not always, right?
Yeah.
But yes, generally speaking, so they are fantasizing about somebody that is providing resources in general. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then but even like, in terms of like, and they're not necessarily thinking about the sex either. They're fantasizing about the connection, the relationship,
Mhm.
right? The security, which men are not fantasizing about the security or about a woman's resources, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're fantasizing about somebody's physical resources. And that, all you got to do is look at pornography and prostitution. Men
Mhm.
are the customers 99% of the time of those
Mm.
things, of those services.
Yeah.
Some women do, but that's in the on the certainly on the much lower end.
I think we're at an interesting point before asking you about short-term mating strategies and hookups, porn, sex. I just want us to just bring it on with this topic. Like, what is the number one thing in a relationship? Like, if you had to pick one, um, I know there's a lot of things, but when we were talking right now, I'm really understanding, and what my previous understanding was, that like physical attractiveness, though it is initially important to start a relationship, long time like in a long-term relationship, physical attractiveness doesn't really matter. I mean, it's still there. It doesn't matter. Again, average is here. So what is, do you think, number one in terms of long-term relationship?
Yeah, so in a long so there is a lot of overlap between short and long term relationships. But generally, if we're talking about a long term relationship, I want you to imagine when I was younger, where you met people in a bar. Okay. So, and it'd be people on opposite ends of the bar. This would be like Tinder is like a microcosm of how it works in a bar. You're either sliding left or sliding right. You're making a quick assessment. Is that person attractive? That's the first door that you enter. And for the guy, I mean, he is making sure that the person is physically attractive and looking at symmetry and all that stuff. Like, does that person meet my physical needs, my physical attractiveness needs? And the woman is also making sure that the person is attractive, but they're looking at other things. They're looking at resource potential too. But in short term relationships, physical attractiveness is important for both sexes. It is very primary, a
Mhm.
primary need.
So when we talk about this is also very interesting from the book. Like opposites attract is true, but we tend to attract people who are similar in a lot of things. Like
Yeah,
majority of our attraction is attraction. The majority of qualities in our partner that we attract are really similar to us. Like similarities in intelligence, in values, political beliefs. For my example, me and my girlfriend, when I look at us, we are not interested in like politics. Like we
sure.
don't really talk about it. We have similar levels of education on politics.
Okay.
Even intelligence, like we are similar in intelligence, and our values also align.
Yeah,
And so I'm like, this is so true. Like I wouldn't have even thought about this 3 years ago when I started dating her.
sure.
Like I wouldn't have like looking at her like, oh, maybe 3 years after today, maybe I'll reflect on our relationship and say, we are similar in so many ways than different.
Yeah.
The only different thing is our color.
Okay. What color is she?
She's white
She is sure. Okay.
and I'm Indian, I'm brown.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of like
Yeah.
starting the relationship, right? When you are
Sure.
talking about interracial relationships, at the forefront of it, you feel like it won't work out.
Sure.
But when I reflect on my relationship, all these things like intelligence, values, political beliefs are so similar. And
Yeah.
so how is like I just want you to like explain what is going to be the role in the future of interracial relations, because there are probably like a lot of interracial relationship right now compared to like 20 years ago, let's
Yeah.
say.
And there are certainly more and more, especially I mean, because now dating is global, right? Everything is international. And all of those similarities still apply. I mean, I am European. My wife is Middle Eastern, right? And even
Oh,
though,
okay.
um, she's still considered white, she's a different race, right? It's not just
Mhm.
like you are considered white though too, right? I mean, from in terms of what you check off, even though you're not. Just like my wife is, she's a Iraqi. She's not a European white person,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
it's an inter. I mean, my children are Arabic, yet they all have blonde hair. I mean, it's kind of it's nobody believes that they're actually Arabic, but they're half Arabic. But similarity is still very important, and it not as a physical appearance, but all of those other things have more meaning and purpose. And there's
Mhm.
a theory in psychology, it's called assortment theory, that kind of
Mhm.
describes what happens. And it's amazing that somehow just by looking at someone, we're able to do this calculation in our brain that is automatic, that's evolved over 200,000 years, and since Homo sapiens have been in existence, but certainly there's remnants of our other primates behind us. Um, but we're able to size people up and we sort out who is most similar to us. And then what
Mm.
happens is why we know this is also important is that, people that we end up having longer relationships with people that are more similar to us. Our friends are all similar to us. They all share these same values and interests too, in general. Um, but also when you first start dating someone, people, what they say, listen to their verbalizations. We are exactly the same. Both of our mothers share the same name of Jenny. We complete each other's sentences, right? Like everything is the same. We say it too. We're exactly the same. Like I found my soulmate. So, but that's like the identification of all those similarities, but also there's some exaggerations because part of pair bonding is we have to believe that we perceive that we're similar, even in personality. Um, so that's true. I mean, you got to have somebody that shares the values, and there are two items that keep popping up in the research that are more important than anything else, or that predominate, or that dominate all those other factors. And we will state them, and then we'll say why, and it makes so much sense. So the first one is your political beliefs, those your political
Mm.
values. And certainly Democrats and Republicans can marry each other. Yeah, there'll be a lot of conflict, but um, your political party determines how you view the world, how you view other people, like who you associate with, right? Who you get along with on holiday vacation. So, and then the other thing is church attendance and religious beliefs,
Mm.
and that also determines greatly your view of the world and how you raise children and what kind
Yeah,
of beliefs you're trying to instill in children and what kind of values. So those things it's really important. They have to be similar, or should be similar. It'll make the relationship much easier.
those things are really blurry in 20 when you're just
Yeah,
dating
they are.
to have.
Because you don't know. I mean, because you're, again, in your 20s, you're still exploring and trying to figure out life, which is, it's certainly a crapshoot in terms of making sure that the person you choose in your 20s is going to be on your same path in your.
Mm. Yeah, it is a big thing.
It,
I got this advice like few years back. Like I wasn't even dating at that point, but like physical attractiveness is important, but it's not that important when you weigh all the other things in a relationship. And at that point, I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like I have to wake up and see that person's face every single day.
sure.
Better that it's physically attractive.
Well, no,
As funny as it sounds, right?
but no, I mean, yes and no. I mean, but let's think about this. Is, part of attractiveness. I mean, this is like it's our job in a relationship to take care of oneself. Like, I know that my wife, I mean, physical attractiveness is still important. And why that doesn't mean that it's shallow. It just means that I need somebody that is going to continue to be able to bear resources, that's going to be able to protect, that's
Mhm.
going to live, right? That's going to actually live and be there. Because I mean, physical attractiveness is, I mean, it's a sign of fertility and youth and health. And why would you want to be in a relationship with someone that wasn't going to be there, or wasn't going to protect you, wasn't going to take care of you? So it's not that we're being shallow, it's that
Yeah.
we're looking for a partner, a reliable partner, right? Physical health says reliability. It's not saying something negative about me, but
Mhm.
that's why, I mean, you need to maintain. I mean, part of the compatibility test too is taking care of yourself. Like you gotta
Yeah.
make sure you're sleeping, you're eating a healthy diet, and you're exercising, so you can maintain. Like one of the best gifts I can give to my wife is that I continue to take care of myself. Just like a great gift that she can give to me is to continue to take care of herself, because
Yeah.
I'm human. I'm human, and so is she. We want to stay attracted to each other. That's
Yeah, exactly.
Is that
What do you?
is that controversial?
Oh, I don't even know if it's controversial. We just talk about. I just talk to people who I'm curious with or curious about. I don't even know what's controversial in today's day and age. So like, I don't even care that much.
Uh-huh.
But what do you think about this may be controversial. Fat men dating healthy looking girls. Like what I always wonder. I don't know. I always wonder how are these big people able to pick up healthy looking girls?
Sure. Well, I think, often they talk to them too, right?
Yeah.
Whereas other guys maybe are a little
Mm-hmm.
anxious about
In their heads.
having a conversation. So, they're compensating and they're not intimidated, or maybe they are intimidating, but they still, drive forward and have the conversation. But certainly those guys, that guy is not he's not lazy, he's not unindustrious, he's got resources and he's intelligent and he's got the gift of gab, right? He can communicate. So, and all these things are signs of resources. And again, those things are not important. The physical attractiveness is not as important to women. So it's those other things. And you know what? He's probably got a great personality too.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's what when I look out in the world and people watch and people who are relate couples who resemble that, where like one is a bigger person,
Yeah.
it's usually the male. I have seen more than females. I know, very controversial, but like I majority of those relationships, I feel like someone has a very, very, very vibrant personality or like a
Yeah.
very cool personality,
Yeah.
um, and that's how they're tied up. Um,
Yeah.
so
I mean, it makes it difficult when there are size differences though as the relationship continues, because when you move then into the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s,
mhm,
um, often, I mean, I run into more where the men are remain athletic or become more athletic, and the wives become less athletic and work on self care less. But certainly with the advent of these like semaglutide, with Ozempic and things like that, I mean, I think that's going to kind of change the face of the world, though, too. I mean, it's going to be easier for people to stay in shape and fight the craving of food, right? As we're manipulated.
definitely.
I mean, right? We're so manipulated to eat more and more and more. Um,
Yeah,
but I think that will even change our body compositions in the future. So, but I have to tell you too that in terms of similarity, you're just like your friends determine um, what you do for a living, what your values are, how in shape you're in. Your spouse is the greatest determinant of whether you take care of yourself.
mm,
So because I mean, you can see most people in a relationship, their body composition is just like their partner because of that shared value and lifestyle. So you got
yeah. Wow.
yeah,
So many like it's like as you progress into your relationship, you become similar and similar every way. I know you mentioned in the book like your immune systems become similar, a bunch of other things biologically become similar unconsciously. And also one of the things that also hit me hard is like how we attract people based on mental health disorders and our immune systems, and that is so unconscious. Like no one thinks about I'm gonna date a person with ADHD.
I know
No one thinks that.
I know, but it's interesting though, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
people with certain diagnoses select one another. But also, on the other end, and this is a little controversial too, as someone that treats mental illness, because there is a can be a stigma still, but there are two diagnoses that really are the destroyer of relationships if we look at all the other
Mm,
psychological problems. But the two that really destroy relationships are depression and alcoholism or substance abuse.
Yeah.
Um, and it does. I mean, they destroy relationships because you got two perfectly healthy individuals, and then one who gets depressed just kind of drifts away, gets withdrawn, is unhappy, um, stops working, stops taking care of the kids, stops being a relationship partner. Just like somebody that develops alcoholism or some other kind of substance dependence, where they were once together and the other one just drifts away. So those things are those two disorders are unlike any other in terms of their impact on relationships.
Yeah, I don't think this part is controversial.
Okay, well,
Like, if
but I mean, I guess the way that
yeah,
it would be seen as controversial is like, am I telling people not to be with somebody that has a history of depression or substance abuse? And I would say you need
yeah.
to go in with your eyes open. Now, on the same end, so I am a recovering alcoholic too. I have like
Hmm.
30 years of recovery. Um, and my wife knew that, or before my pre-wife, right? She knew that going in, so that she took a big risk being with me, right? Because I mean, our story could have ended up being much different than it has.
Yeah, I'm
But
glad she put trust on you, right? So because like
yeah,
it's a gray area.
I am too. And but my wife was my best friend's sister from high school, so I've known her since we were 15. But
Wow.
we did not start dating until we were both 30. When I ran into her at Christmas time many years ago in like 2002. And that's what kind of brought us together. And we had both evolved. I mean, because we were much different before growing up. And then we had both come into our 30s. We'd both been out in the workforce and and wanted the same, came to see that we wanted the same thing. And it's been an adaptation for me, because we both, even though we have so many of the same beliefs and we're from different races too, um, I guess the biggest struggle culturally was like her, um, the family, the importance of family and all of the
Mm,
events and the uncles and the aunts and the cousins and all those things, where my family is certainly more spread out. I mean, family is important, but it's more the
yeah.
nuclear family versus
Right.
the expansive family. But I've really
Right.
grown to love that. I mean, I love a large family, and I see the all the wonderful benefits, and there's lots of love and lots of power.
I think that's the number one, not issue, but number one difference that my girlfriend feels. Like about everything, like about above the language, food. It's grasping the concept of expansive family and like family gatherings are huge compared to like
Sure.
small family gatherings for her family.
Right. So it's very similar to me, right? It's like
Yeah.
my six. I mean, in my family, it's like, well, with my wife, it's six or seven. I mean, it is. It's versus my wife's 50 to 70 people at an event. When my wife's, they have family. There's family that lives all over the world, right? And when they come in town,
Oh.
everybody
Hmm.
descends. Like you have to come and sit, right, and meet the whoever's visiting from out of the country. Right? Do you have
Yeah.
that experience? Do you have that same experience? Is
Yeah.
that
My girlfriend has the same experience, right?
uh-huh?
So yeah, yeah. So you were saying when the Arabic family comes in, you have to.
You all have to descend on, like my in-laws usually have them come over, right? And then there's like 30 people
Oh yeah.
that come and visit
Oh
with the one person or the two people, and it's like a 3-hour meeting of sitting in a circle, right? And just having
yeah,
dessert,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
drinking coffee and tea, and just visiting. Oh,
yeah,
but you have to stop everything, right? Like the world stops because there's a
Yeah,
visitor.
it does. It does.
So, but it's
It's so
similar.
funny. It's so
What I have planned, if
nope.
somebody's here from Australia or they're visiting from Iraq, the
Yeah.
world that stops and we all descend upon my in-laws' home and we sit in a circle and have conversation.
Yeah. Is it still in the same like in English, or is it like in different language that you?
It's both. It's
Okay.
I have to it's broken English and Arabic.
Okay.
So and I always come with a new Arabic term. I leave with a new Arabic term. So
Okay.
but it's
So
but
very
it's
similar.
yes, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's wonderful, and I welcome that. But
Hmm.
again, other people that are not so open,
Hmm.
or maybe they don't have other personality traits, have issues when families are so different.
Yeah. Nah, definitely. I'm glad my girlfriend is open up with that because every family we have a lot of family gatherings. Like my family has a lot of them, more
Sure,
than hers. And she takes part in all of them. But that's she just I think it's the understanding. Like okay, certain people. It's not like only certain people gather. It's like every person gathers. At the
everybody's there. Yes,
Everybody's there.
the entire family.
Yeah,
Oh, it,
I can see how it's like very different, and I can like it's so funny that that 3 years ago I didn't think about this, but like it could be an issue for someone who is like from different
sure. Well,
family or
when you're, I mean, it was a way of life, right? I mean, you just
yeah,
kind of assume that that's how every family was. And the other thing is even, what even becomes tribal too is like what people are interested in, or like if somebody gets a German Shepherd dog, then they
yeah,
all get German Shepherd dogs. Or if somebody buys a BMW, then they all buy BMWs, and they go to the same dealer. I mean, it's like
yeah,
if it works for one, it works for all. So it's
yeah,
very interesting. So, but I love it. So, but I think the personality trait that makes somebody able to do that is openness to experience, which
hmm,
is a personality trait that is necessary in a relationship. Like you want somebody that is high on that factor, not low. I mean, no matter who you're in a relationship with, but you don't want somebody that is too high on openness to new experience because that is somebody that will philander to man or woman.
yeah,
So it's like interesting. Like a lot of these personality traits, there's pros and cons to each one, but you don't want extremes on either end.
yeah,
So
exactly. Yep.
kind of like
Uh-huh.
extroversion is a highly sought after personality type, but you don't want somebody that is on the extreme because they will
No.
cheat on you, man or woman.
Mm. Yeah. They will put themselves in a place where cheating will be easier.
Yeah, not and often not intentionally
Yeah.
because they're talking to, somebody that will just seduce them, pull them right in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have been socially anxious my whole life until like I got into like health science and like not like content, but even
sure,
before that, after my high school, I started becoming less socially anxious. And
sure.
then I didn't start talking with everybody at that point, but right now I'm starting to talk to everybody that I see, or
Okay.
maybe compliment them or this and that. But I have to be selective on who I talk to. I cannot just keep talking to females all the time. Um,
That will upset your girlfriend.
oh, a lot. I won't
Uh-huh.
have a girlfriend.
But you're telling me I'm being counterphobic. I'm like working on overcoming this
Yeah,
anxiety, right? The social anxiety.
yeah. Um, where was I going? Actually,
But even you're doing this podcast. This is therapeutic for you too.
it is. It is very therapeutic because all the years of being not speaking to people makes up for
Sure.
all this.
Yes. I mean, you're really overcoming it. I mean, I would have never seen that about you.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
pretty awesome.
there's a backstory for there's a backstory. Yeah. So I socially anxious was really bad for me in high school. Like I got like I would not talk to anyone.
Sure.
But I'm
I mean,
like, it's just fun talking to right now. But again, I have to be careful of who I talk to. Obviously, I cannot
yeah,
just talk to. I can talk to everyone, but I have to be selective. So
sure. But you can
yeah,
talk to people today.
yeah,
So, it's, I'm glad you're bringing up this point, right? This is like, that's very helpful for other people though, too. Like the only way you overcome social phobia is by talking to people, right? Like experiencing social phobia and working through it. I used to be a terrible stutterer, like
oh,
from the fifth grade on, like even through college and graduate school. And even though I'm an extrovert, I was like a closet extrovert because I often was afraid to. I didn't want to stutter. I couldn't control it. But the way that I overcame it was like lots of speech therapy
hmm,
and talking over and over again, like just forcing myself and getting comfortable with it. Kind of like what you've done, right?
yeah.
You have to do it.
I I think I'm introvert by default, but again,
Huh,
like learning all these things, like just I kind of fake extroversion and times at times because I have to. Like
sure.
PA school interviews, I don't know if you know any of about that, but like when we are invited for interviews, like you're with like the bunch of like 20 people, you're in the
Woo.
classroom, who
Okay.
are getting interviewed one by one, and you have to fake extroversion at that point a lot because like
Sure.
you don't know who's watching and you don't
Yeah.
know who you're gonna meet. It could be a potential future classmate or a potential colleague in the future.
Yeah.
Um, and you have to just fake. And I just realized, like, you have to just fake it, even if you're not an extrovert. And I think
Hmm.
faking is fine too with extroversion, but like, you cannot just not like
But
be introverted in certain places.
yeah. Well, because about half of us are extroverts, half of us are introverts. But as you're talking, like as you're sharing about this experience, there's a bias toward extroversion, right? Like
Yeah,
if you didn't say anything and you were quiet, right, you would not have been selected,
yeah.
right? They're looking for extroverts.
Yep. This
They're
the
looking for extroverts.
I think
Yeah.
part of the reason in high school why I didn't have a lot of social interactions because I wasn't the one who initiate conversations. Like it's taking accountability sometimes that makes you realize
Yeah.
that you have to not fake extroversion, but like you have to be the person like who is personable, like who talks about personal things with other people, not too personal, but like who has that like awareness of having
Yeah.
good conversations. Totally.
Yes. I agree. You have to become what we call like a super communicator, right? Or,
Yeah.
you're like great at asking questions, digging deeper, reflecting, right? What the other person is saying, making them like, wow, Harsh is an amazing communicator, right? Because of how you're making somebody feel,
Thanks.
right?
I have never. I didn't imagine that this would even come out of people's mouths, but thanks. But thanks. It wasn't
That's
that
all.
case 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever that
It's
was.
okay. You're working on it. But
Yeah.
like you said, you got to be accountable. It's like for anything, if you want to fix anything, you have to be responsible, right? Yourself. You
Yeah.
have to do the work, like
Totally.
anything, right? Like getting into PA school, like getting your podcast going and getting followers and getting more followers.
Hmm.
It doesn't just happen. Nothing just happens.
Yeah.
So,
Moving on to dating in college.
okay,
Uh.
sorry.
Oh no. Sorry, my bad. You just had a totally like not off track, but like important conversation.
Yes,
But um, because I have all these notes that are written from the book because like if you're not gonna talk about this right now, then I would be wishing that we talked.
sure. Please,
And
let's.
since you are since I have been waiting for you to get on the podcast for so long, it's it's in my best interest to ask these questions because these are going to be very controversial and important at the same time. And
Okay.
so, dating in college, short-term mating strategies, women outnumber men in colleges.
They do.
What
Yeah.
happens then?
Yes. So, I mean, this is really interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Because what now we have, because women outnumber men in college, we have a hookup culture.
yeah,
Okay. And we may misinterpret what this hookup culture means and what the impetus is for this. Many would say that this is just like free love,
hmm,
or, women now can be the aggressor, and the old way was being paternalistic or misogynistic. But what's really happening is women are using a short term mating strategy to have a long term mate. So because there's so many women, women now have to compete with each other by being more provocative and by being more open to having sexual experiences, because there's so many women and so few guys that a guy will go find a girl to do that with.
yeah,
But women are not just trying to hook up. They still want a long-term relationship. They just now make more mistakes because guys take advantage of that.
yeah,
But all of this is unconscious, like nobody really understands what's happening, right? From a cultural perspective. If there were more men and fewer women, those women would use a different strategy. They would use more long-term mating strategies. It would be the men would be in competition with each other for those women. But now the women are in competition with each other because there's so many more women than men.
So what about men? What men in college, right? I was in college, like so why are men still single in college and they're not able to tie up a girlfriend? Is there like their personal preference? Like, are they taking the advantage of, okay, I can hook up with so many people, I can like have this variety of different sexual experiences, and I can like this is just short term instant gratification, and that's what you do in college, right? Just have fun, so
Yeah.
much fun, like overload on dopamine. But what's going
Yeah.
on there with men then?
Well, because there are fewer men,
Hmm.
there are, it's more, there are fewer men that are with more women. Okay. Because because women are actually the more critical sex or the more selective sex. So they are
Yeah,
choosing fewer men. So that means that more men are being left out on a college campus. So, that's one part of this picture. And then the other part of this picture is the use of pornography,
mm,
where men have grown up using pornography as a replacement or substitute, or even as not an alternate, but as like something extra in addition to. So it reduces the need to have a relationship, and it also reduces the need, or it reduces the practice of working on that skill of being able to know how to date and connect with women. So, but I have to tell you, there are some men that I see that are in their 20s that have never even been with a woman
it's crazy.
because of their reliance on pornography.
I just
And
sorry,
it,
sorry to interrupt.
oh no, it's okay. It's just it's very sad, right?
Yeah.
And concerning.
I was just gonna mention how sad it is, and how can a brain prioritize a virtual sexual experience over a real world experience? Like after like removing pornography from my life, I have been so more driven to having more like, I mean, it's funny as it sounds, like sex, like craving sex,
Sure.
or there's a very interesting difference that you start feeling when, at least for me, when I switched my sexual consumption was from mainly from real sex than porn. Like it
Uh-huh.
feels different. There is a neurochemical difference you feel. It's I don't know if it's placebo, but sex somehow is so much more. it feels natural. It feels better. Like sometimes you've had like home cooked meal compared to
Right.
McDonald's. It feels better.
Because it's like a 7-course meal, right? Where you're actually with a human being.
Yes.
This is like getting a Whopper, getting a quick Whopper at Burger King.
Yes.
Uh-huh. But for people that have never experienced that,
Hmm.
the Whopper is good enough, right? It's easier to just go through the drive-through rather than make a reservation, put on nice clothes,
Yeah.
and spend the time trying to connect with someone. So, you know, and think about. I mean, culturally, we like everything that's easy. We want a quick fix to things. We want it to be automatic. And I think it just becomes habitual. And pornography is so stimulating. You can like pick what you like. If you don't like something, you quickly move, to something else. But it has certainly hijacked the male's physical and you know and psychology. I mean, it
Yeah.
has hijacked all of our needs by being able to meet them immediately. Um, so yeah, I think there's uh-oh. Do you hear my wife yelling in the background? She's
No.
yelling she's yelling at Comcast. So, holy smoke.
She's
Um
going ham probably on them.
she is. She is going after him. No, but it's concerning about pornography and that just like humans, I mean, we quickly become addicted to something or very reliant on something that's easy versus doing the hard work to do something that's more meaningful and more gratifying. Because you're right, being with a human being creates a cascading of all kinds of hormones and neurotransmitters that it's a completely different experience. But it also takes a lot of risk and a
Yeah.
lot of work to do that. And today, there's so many reasons not to, right?
Yeah.
Or so many reasons that have prevented people from having that opportunity.
We want to be so productive in our lives. We always want to save time. And
Yeah,
a lot of people, and even I got this advice too, but a lot of people get this advice like when you are young, it's much better for you to not be in a relationship. But you're gonna revert to something, some form of sexual activity. Like I do not think that those people who give this advice out, like you shouldn't be in relationships, long-term relationships, they in their bedroom when their lights are out, they're
yeah,
doing something. Either they're watching porn, they're watching hardcore porn. We don't know. But
yeah.
like you're gonna revert, like you're gonna do something to replace that.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I think those are people that are not following their own advice, and we are, we're sexual beings. We like to connect, and tell me what the question was.
Oh,
Tell me what the specific question. I don't want to be answering the wrong thing.
oh no, we were just having a little conversation. I just wanted to open this little box of um. Well, I was gonna go to the idea of like. Actually, I was gonna mention. I don't know. This might be a very messed up theory, but like people, men who abstain from sex, incels,
Sure,
um,
the incels.
over their 20s. That's what they're called, right? Incels who like abstain from sex, saying that okay, I don't need a relationship or I don't need sex right now. They're gonna
I
do
think
something.
they're lying. I think they're
They're,
lying.
yes,
They're just afraid. They're afraid, and they've never been with a woman before.
nah. I do agree with that. So like I wonder if there's a certain circuitry in your brain that is devoted
Uh
to
oh.
building a romantic relationship. I don't know if that's true or not, but if there's a certain circuitry in the brain there's devoted to that, then people who abstain from sex in their 20s and abstain from having any sort of romantic relationship, like they're I don't know if they're going to be like, I don't even want to call it trauma
Sure.
or underdeveloped part of their brains. Like you're kind of forcing trauma and underdevelopment of the brain by restricting yourself from a healthy aspect of life, that is forming some relationship. And I feel like I have been much more successful being in a long-term relationship than when I was not. That's what in my experience. So like I always question the traditional advice.
Yeah.
When
So
you
there,
have a person, again, like sorry, when you have a person who matches your values, your relationship, like if you have a positive relationship with someone, it just kind of it's a driver for your career or anything that you're looking for in life.
yeah. So there was a bunch of things there. So
Yeah.
and I think that some of the research suggests too that people that do not that have lower levels of oxytocin in
Mm.
their system, which is the pair bonding neurotransmitter, um, are unable to make connections or have deeper connections with people. So if you don't have a lot of oxytocin, this is like the cuddling neurotransmitter where this helps you get close to somebody and enjoy the experience of connecting. And that is in personal relationships as well as intimate ones. And then people also that have some kind of dopamine um, dysregulation, where they're constantly looking for some supercharged experience, those people likely have some difficulty connecting with
Mm.
people. And, early life experiences as well as genes probably impact whether those factors get turned on or off or not later in life. So, certainly early life experiences determine how you're going to be in future relationships based on your physical nature or what genes get turned on or turned off. Um, Now, the other important point that you have here is that it is true that we are much like if we're matched with the right person, we will be much more successful because when you're in the right relationship, you're more motivated to live, you're more motivated to provide, you're more motivated to be successful. And that's like both people. You're energized, right,
Yeah.
by being with each other. You feed off of one another. And Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have both been credited too for really saying that the person that you spend the rest of your life with, who you marry, like will determine what kind of person you become and will determine your success or your destruction.
Yeah.
So, it's really important that my whole directive for the book is that, you got to maximize who you are so you can be with the best person so
Mm.
then you can have the best life,
Yeah.
right? With that person. So you want to find somebody where you can be your best self.
Definitely. You can be
So
like comfortable in who you are when you are with that person.
yeah, you have to be, yeah, if you're not comfortable with who you are, and this happens all the time. That's, like with we hear like love bombing or narcissism or like somebody that has borderline personality. Um, but often, like when you're with somebody that is not, like if you're well and you're with somebody that's not well, you
Mhm.
will then not feel well.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of misconnections and they'll make you feel guilty and think that it's you and you'll question your reality. So if you're normally a very healthy person and you find yourself lost and confused, it's probably them and not you.
Yes. I would like to not end but like kind of transition on, and maybe if it's a good area of
Sure.
ending our podcast, I would love to talk about preferences. uh
Okay.
Earlier you mentioned that we shouldn't go for people who are depressed overall, who have depression
Yeah.
and who have history of substance abuse and are currently actually the current who are current substance abusers. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, choosing who you want to be with. I know it's a
Yeah.
controversial advice, but I don't think that's really how it works. Like if I am 5'5", you're talking about preferences. That's why I'm like bringing up height too. I'm 5'5".
Yeah.
I know that, and I've accepted this fact. Like, if some
Uh-huh.
woman rejected me, um, let's say if I was single and I was trying to get with girls and I was trying to like be in this long relationship, and if
Yeah.
some woman rejected me based on my height, and she said that, I mean, I would honestly accept it, and
Yeah.
I would accept it, saying that's your preference, and I
Yeah.
respect your preference.
Yeah. Yes.
So, but in the book you said like, okay, females have this preference of being with tall males.
Yeah.
But what about people who are short like me? How do we
Yeah.
navigate that? Pretty tricky.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, and I'm not a tall. I'm not a tall person. I'm 5'10", right? And
Okay.
that's average. That's considered average. But when you're average, you're not tall. You're not tall. And if you look at dating sites, and some of the research, most women say they want a guy that's at least 6 feet tall, right? And I remember, I have to tell you this because I was dating somebody. I was like 20. I didn't realize that I wasn't a tall person until I started dating this woman. So I am average. I am average height. I'm 5'10", and I know that from the research on dating sites, most women are looking for somebody that is 6 feet and above. Okay, and certainly that causes me anxiety, right? And I did not realize that I wasn't tall until I was like 22, and I was dating this woman who who was actually um you know asking me to get her a ring, though, but at the same time, out of anger, she told me my eyes were too close together and I was short. Those two things. Okay.
What?
And but Harsh, I thought I was always like I didn't even recognize height
Yeah.
at all. I was not even comparing myself to any other guys before. And I
Yeah.
realized that I wasn't a tall person
Hmm.
in that moment. I started like, comparing myself.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. But but height is not everything. I mean, so from an ancestral environment, what did it represent? I mean, it represented somebody that was a physically strong hunter or protector. So those residual attractions are still in place, but we've evolved. There's other things that women are attracted to now
Right.
that can compensate for that. And it's like ambition, and it's kindness, and it's intelligence, right? I mean, all these things make up for those things. So a lot of these things are interchangeable. I mean, and you've seen people that have been like, I mean, you see like women. I mean, you'll see women and men that are the same height, right? But typically, the man is a little taller than a woman. So it's not the no one factor is the end all be all.
You're right.
You can always compensate. It's usually the full. It's really the full package that matters. Okay.
Yeah.
But I can. You want me to run through some of the preferences of like what are most
Sure.
important? Yeah.
Sure.
So I mean, we've talked about ambitiousness and industriousness already, right? Where
Right.
industriousness is important for both, but ambition is more important for women want a man that is ambitious. Both both men and women want somebody that's kind.
Hmm.
Both want somebody that's conscientious, or reliable. Like, do they say what they're going to do? You want somebody. So when I say you want somebody that's like this and you want to be this way. You want to have a secure attachment. That means you want to see the world as safe and you want to see yourself as safe, like you're comfortable being in your own skin.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to be free of mental health problems. You want to have a high self esteem, not over the top, because then you're a narcissist.
Hmm.
Okay. You want to be agreeable, like you want to get along with people. Like you don't want to you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that's opposing you all the time, that's arguing
Yeah.
everything. That's not fun.
Hmm.
But then you can't be in a relationship with somebody that's a pushover either. So like mid-range agreeableness. You want somebody that's at least average intelligence. someone that values commitment. You want to be educated and have some status. You want to have facial symmetry, like a balanced face. I mean, there's a reason that people spend so much time
Yeah.
making sure their face looks proportional, right? This is like our advertisement sign of who I am. Okay? It's like you're just walking on jeans with your sign up top. That's your head. And then a V-shaped torso, like women like a V-shaped torso because it's
Yeah.
like strength, right? It's masculine.
Mhm.
And men are attracted to women with like a 0.7 waist hip ratio. Like you want the hips in a little bit with you want the waist in you want some curves,
Yeah.
right? With the hips coming out of it.
Definitely.
And why is that? It's like a sign of fertility, right? I mean, that's all
Yeah.
that is. It means that there's childbearing hips.
Yeah.
Okay. And it needs to be within that proportion, though, because when it's like lower or higher, it usually means there's some health problems.
Mm.
And, you want to have somebody that has a place to live, a job,
That is,
transportation.
yeah. That also one of the things that really like connect, kind of hit me hard. So many things in the book that just kind of sparked this little light in my head. Like okay, maybe I had my own place. Relationship would be so easier.
Yeah,
That's
it is. But,
important.
with families, though, too, where sometimes people don't leave the home until they're married.
Yeah.
And we certainly account for that, in terms of having a place to live. But the reason that those items are so important is because you don't want to be in a relationship where somebody's like waiting for you, like to be overly dependent on you.
Yeah.
Like we need two independent people that are coming together that are bringing things to the relationship, right? It's like a division of economy. They're both bringing benefits to the relationship. And then you have somebody that can be extroverted. You don't have to be an extrovert, but you got to be able to talk to people, right? And work and
Yeah.
make alliances and things. And then somebody that's open to experience, somebody that's low on neuroticism. You want to be low on neuroticism too, meaning people that are neurotic, they blame everybody for the problems, they're self critical, they're always living in their head. Okay.
Yeah.
You want somebody that's not living in their head, but there's like living out in what's in front of them. They're like a doer. Okay.
Mm.
And then, somebody that is tall, we talked about being tall or being youthful. And what this really means is somebody that's healthy, physically healthy. Okay. And
Yeah.
then humor is really important. Humor is a sign of intelligence, but you also have to share the same sense of humor with your partner.
Mm.
Okay. And there's all kinds of health benefits to, having humor.
Yeah. Keeps you young.
So it does. It keeps you long, keeps you laughing, keeps you
Yeah.
young.
Just like
So,
yourself, I have to mention that you look so young for
oh,
having 4 kids.
I'm 50 already. I'm almost 51.
Holy That's so you look so young for being 50. I wish I could replicate that when I'm
You're
50.
going, you're going to, you're going, you already are. You start, you have to start living in a, healthy lifestyle early on.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Harsh, can I show my books real quick?
awesome. Yeah. That's
Because I just want to like this is the same book with a different title
oh, okay.
because I didn't want to offend everyone, and I'm involved. I'm Roman Catholic by nature too, and then I know a lot of people that don't use profanity,
Yeah.
and I wanted somebody's mom to be able to, give this for Christmas to their kids and not feel badly about it.
Yeah.
But then for everybody else, I wanted this title. So like how not to F up your life or how not
Yeah.
to ruin your life. It's the same book, just they just have a different cover.
I have the white one because I
That
love the title.
boom. I
I love the
appreciate it.
title. Yes. And it's also on Kindle, which is free.
It is so it's like part of that. I mean, I think it's running for like 6 months where you can read it for free
Okay.
on Kindle.
So,
And I get like 5 cents or something like that every time somebody reads it.
but when I get my bookshelf, I do want to buy a physical copy of yours. So that's what I'm gonna
Okay,
do. When I
I'll
have my
sign it.
bookshelf. So,
I'll
and
sign it
oh, you
when
will
you're.
sign it? Awesome.
Yeah, well, when you're in Savannah, I go up to Savannah every once in a while, so I'll
Oh,
come in and sign it.
come, come over once if you
I'll meet
can.
you in person.
Awesome. Maybe our next, if I'm privileged enough, maybe you can participate in another one of our podcast, one of the podcasts. And
Yeah.
since you have considerable experience in marriage counseling, we can talk about how to maintain good marriages
Mm.
and not ruin up your marriage.
Mm. You don't want to do that.
No,
You don't want to do that. So, how old are you? How old
I'm
are you?
23.
I mean, you're killing it at 23.
Yeah,
Yeah. You don't know if you're getting, so how long have you been with your girlfriend too?
3 years ish, two and a
3 years.
half. I would say 2.5. Yeah, 2.5.
Did you meet her in undergrad too in college?
We went to different schools.
Okay.
We went to different schools. Do you know Penn State?
Yeah. Great
So
school.
she went to Penn State. I went to a local school here
Uh-huh.
in my hometown.
Uh-huh.
Do you know The Office?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you know University of Scranton?
Yes.
I went to University of Scranton.
Okay. Great. Is that, I feel like that's what Biden's always talking about, Scranton.
Yeah,
He used to live in Scranton.
yeah.
Biden's
Unfortunately,
from, oh, was he born in Scranton?
I think so. I'm not really sure. He's not
Okay.
one of my role models.
No, you're
Unfortunately.
almost. We
Unfortunately. Okay.
don't want to
Yeah.
we don't want to get in trouble
No.
politically.
No. 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 No.
We want both sides to love us.
Yeah, we want both sides to love us.
Both sides to love
We are
us.
people pleasers.
People please. Amen. Amen. We
But
love
yeah,
everyone. We love
yeah,
everyone. May not be the role model, but we love them.
yeah, we do.
Right? Um. Okay. Very good. So, and then, how'd you guys meet?
We met through Tinder.
Through Tinder. So
It's
it's like you
very,
both.
it's
It's a.
very messed up situation, right?
Huh,
So I'm from Tinder. Like from
yeah, but
Tinder, you would not. I don't know. I'll
people
let you
meet.
go.
People have long-term relationships all the time with
Yeah,
Tinder now,
yeah.
right? Because it's fast. It's fast. I
It's
mean, you
just
think you're going in for a Whopper, and you end up with a 7-course meal, right?
that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what
Uh-huh.
happened. And really,
Uh-huh.
that's a great way to put it. I
Uh-huh.
I I literally went for a Whopper,
Uh-huh.
but it's that you have to think logically sometimes in your life. And I'm glad
Yeah.
that happened. If it didn't happen, I wouldn't be here having a podcast.
I mean, she has helped. She has helped you be the best person you can be.
Yeah, I guess be like masculine, be a man, I guess. And that's a whole
Yeah.
another controversial topic about masculinity. But
Toxic masculinity.
yeah.
It's toxic to be a man now.
Yeah, it's toxic to be a
Apparently.
man now right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's this story.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, so
Congratulations.
maybe next time when we have our podcast, maybe if it could be an in-person one, but I'm not sure. I need to have like equipment.
Okay. Sure.
But we'll see.
Yes. Or if
Yes.
you're down here interviewing other people.
I
Once you get the.
honestly, oh yeah, I honestly think I'm thinking about moving to Florida after I'm done with my PA school. But
Okay.
I don't know how that's gonna play out. I don't want to be like planning too much. But yes, I do have a plan to move down.
Okay. Because
So yeah,
we have no state tax. Georgia has state tax too.
yeah, that's what I hear.
Yes.
Yep,
Must come here. No state tax.
awesome.
So,
Well,
all right.
thank you so much for participating.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Where can
Sorry.
people find you? Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. Where could people find you? Where's your main content creation platform? What's your main
Well,
platform?
I would say, I did start on Instagram, but they can find me on Instagram or TikTok or my website at drdorenzo.com.
Yeah, well, all the links will be in the description. Thank you for tuning into today's podcast episode. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of actually a lot of answers about modern dating. And I will catch you in another podcast or YouTube video. Thanks for watching.
Sounds good. Thanks, Harsh.
Thanks. Bye.
Yep. Cool.
Thank you for watching. Important episode about relationship psychology, which is really critical to understand if you are in your 20s. Today's guest was Dr. Justin Duranzo, who is a forensic and board certified clinical psychologist with more than 20 years of behavioral health experience. He obtained his Doctor of Psychology from NOVA Southeastern University in Florida and participated in clinical psychology residency for multiple years. Additionally, he is an author of How Not to Fuck Up Your Life, which is an excellent book all about relationship psychology. It also includes mate value and relationship compatibility test, which is super useful to get into today's dating market. I took those two tests. I got higher points on the mate value, so pretty happy for that. But more importantly, I also got higher value in my relationship compatibility test. I was honestly a little afraid before taking that test. So if you are wondering if your relationship is off, take that test. If you're wondering why are you not getting mates, why you're not getting anything from girls or guys, whoever you're into, take that mate value test and you will understand exactly why you are not able to attract the person who you want to attract. Thank you for watching this video. Dr. Duranzo's book, Instagram, and TikTok will all be linked down below. Please check it out. Please check his amazing content on relationship psychology. It's also combined with humor. And so hope you check that out. I'll catch you in another YouTube video or a podcast. Take care. Happy holidays. See ya.